The council station floated in the darkness of space like a giant wheel, its lights glowing against the black void. Inside the main chamber, representatives from dozens of alien species gathered for what they called the most important meeting in 300 years. The Galactic Council was signing the final peace accord, a document that would officially end all military conflicts. Across known space, Ambassador Hyanwu stood in the human section, a small platform near the back of the enormous room. He wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, and he watched as the larger, more powerful species celebrated at the front. The Valthene Empire sent their ambassador in golden armor that reflected the chamber lights. The Karath Collective arrived with 6 representatives, their insect-like bodies clicking as they moved. The Drin Federation brought their leader, a tall being with purple skin and 4 arms. Humanity had been part of the galactic community for only 50 years. In that time, Earth learned quickly that being small and weak meant being ignored. When Hyanwu spoke during council sessions, the other ambassadors rarely listened. When he asked for help with human problems, they changed the subject. Earth was considered a minor species, barely worth acknowledging. The peace accord meant that all major powers would reduce their military forces by 70%. Warships would be dismantled. Weapons factories would close. The galaxy was choosing trade and peace over war and conflict. Every species signed the document except Earth. Not because humans wanted war, but because they had almost nothing to reduce. Earth's military was already tiny compared to the others. After the ceremony ended, Hyanwu walked through the station's corridors. An announcement played from speakers in the walls, repeating the same message in 20 different languages. The long peace had officially begun. Military chapters of galactic history were closing. A new era of cooperation was starting, but Hyanwu felt uneasy. He returned to his quarters and opened a secure channel to Earth. The encrypted message took 3 seconds to reach home. A face appeared on his screen, a military officer with gray hair and tired eyes. "Ambassador, we received the reports." "The accord has been signed," the officer said. "Yes, every major power is disarming. They believe the threats are over," Hyanwu replied. "And they have no idea what we've built." Hyanwu shook his head. "No, they still think Earth is harmless." Far from the council station, hidden in the dark space beyond Neptune's orbit, something massive waited in silence. The ship had no lights. Its black hull absorbed radar and sensor beams. For 20 years, humanity had worked in secret, building something the galaxy would never expect. The EDS retribution was Earth's answer to being ignored. While the other species fought their wars, humanity studied. They collected pieces of destroyed alien ships. They analyzed every weapon system, every shield generator, every engine design. Then human engineers did something the aliens never considered. They combined all of it. Captain Guan stood on the bridge of the Retribution, looking at the view screen showing the distant stars. She was 38 years old, with short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had spent the last 5 years preparing this crew, training them for a day she hoped would never come. "We're receiving a transmission from Earth Command," said Yunji, the communications officer. She was young, only 25, but her skills with alien computer systems were unmatched. "Put it through," Giwan ordered. The message was brief. A colony world called Kepler 442b was under attack. Valthene raiders had arrived without warning, bombing settlements and taking supplies. The colonists sent a distress call to the council, begging for help. The council did nothing. They said it was a border dispute and not their concern. Earth Command was now giving the Retribution its first real mission. Leave the hidden berth. Travel to Kepler 4 for to be. Stop the attack. Show the galaxy that humanity would protect its own. Ji-Wen turned to her tactical officer. Minho status of all weapon systems. Minho was a solid man with broad shoulders and calm hands. He had trained for years on weapon systems that no one outside Earth had ever seen. Railgun batteries at full charge. Missile pods loaded. Point defense systems online. Antimatter reserves at maximum capacity. "We are ready, Captain Salman. How is the engine?" Gi-Wan asked. The chief engineer looked up from her console. Salmon was small but fierce, and she knew every centimeter of the Retribution's revolutionary drive system. The fusion antimatter hybrid is running perfectly. We can jump in 3 minutes. Jawan took a breath. This was the moment everything changed. For 50 years, Earth had been quiet, weak, and ignored. The galaxy thought humans were no threat. They thought Earth would always need protection from stronger species. They were wrong. "It's all hands. This is the captain," Guan announced over the ship-wide communication system. "We have received orders to respond to an attack on our people. The colony at Kepler 442b is in danger. The Council will not help them, so we will. Today, the galaxy learns that Earth does not abandon its own. Today, we show them what humanity has built. Prepare for jump." The bridge crew worked quickly and efficiently. Lights flickered as massive amounts of power flowed through the ship's systems. The Retribution had been silent and still for months. Now, it was waking up. On the view screen, space began to bend and twist as the jump drive activated. The ship's unique design allowed it to tear a hole in reality itself, crossing vast distances in seconds. Technology, the aliens said, was impossible. Technology that only humans had mastered. "Jump in 10 seconds, Salmon reported. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jump." The Retribution vanished from the edge of the solar system in a flash of blue light. The ship that the galaxy didn't know existed was now racing toward its first battle. Captain Jiwan stood firm, her hands gripping the armrests of her command chair. The galaxy had let down its guard during the long peace. They had become comfortable. They had forgotten that danger could come from unexpected places. They had ignored Earth for too long. Now the most dangerous warship ever built was coming, and nothing would ever be the same again. The Retribution emerged from jump space near Kepler 44 to be with a flash that lit up the darkness. Captain Jiwan's eyes immediately focused on the view screen. What she saw made her jaw tighten with anger. The human colony below was burning. 12 Valthene cruisers circled the planet like predators around wounded prey. Smoke rose from the settlements. Buildings that had taken years to build were now ruins. The colonists' desperate transmissions filled the communication channels. Voices crying for help that would not come from the Council. "Captain, I'm detecting life signs in the shelters. About 3,000 colonists are still alive underground," Young Ji reported from her station. "But the Valthene are scanning for them. They're loading cargo ships with everything they can steal." Minho studied his tactical display. "Those are Valthene raider vessels. Not official military. These are pirates who rejected the peace accords. But they're still dangerous. Each cruiser carries enough firepower to destroy a city." Juan nodded slowly. The Valthene raiders thought they could attack human colonies without consequences because Earth was weak. They were about to learn a terrible lesson. "Open a channel to the lead Valthene ship," Juan ordered. The view screen changed to show a Valthene commander. Throktal was large and reptilian, with scales the color of dark red stone. His mouth opened in what might have been a laugh. Behind him, other Valthene warriors were celebrating, holding containers of stolen supplies. "A human ship?" Throktal's voice was rough and mocking. "One single ship. This is your response? We have 12 cruisers. You're alone. Turn around and run back to your weak little planet before we add your ship to the wreckage below."
Ow.
Giwan's voice was cold and steady. "This is Captain Giwan of the Earth Defense Ship Retribution. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from this system. If you are still here after that time, you will be destroyed. This is your only warning." Throktal laughed harder. "Destroyed by you? Humans are known across the galaxy as weak. You have no military, no weapons that can match ours. We have heard the stories. Earth begs the Council for protection because you cannot protect yourselves. And now you threaten us." 20 seconds, Giwan said. "I think we will take your ship apart piece by piece," Throktal continued. "Then we will finish taking everything from this colony. The Council will do nothing. They never help weak species. Fire on the human vessel." 6 of the Valthian cruisers turned toward the Retribution. their plasma cannons charged with green energy. Powerful weapons that had destroyed countless ships during the old wars. The raiders fired together, sending massive bolts of superheated plasma toward the single Earth ship. The bridge of the Retribution shook slightly as the plasma hit. Alarms beeped. Then they stopped. Salmon checked her readings and smiled. Shields holding at 98%. The adaptive shielding is dispersing the energy exactly as designed. Juan stood from her chair. Minho, you may return fire. What happened next took less than 4 minutes, but it would be talked about across the galaxy for years. The Retribution's railgun batteries opened first. These were not energy weapons like the aliens used. They were something simpler and far more devastating. Metal projectiles were accelerated to incredible speeds using magnetic force. When they struck their targets, the kinetic energy was unstoppable. 2 Valthene cruisers exploded instantly. The projectiles punched through their hulls like paper. Internal explosions tore the ships apart from the inside. Debris scattered across space in expanding clouds. Missile pods launching, Minho announced calmly. From hidden ports on the Retribution's hull, hundreds of small missiles burst forth. They moved in complex patterns, weaving and dodging. The Valthene tried to shoot them down, but Earth's missiles were too fast and too smart. They had artificial intelligence systems that learned and adapted during flight. The missiles reached their targets. Each one carried a tiny amount of antimatter in a magnetic containment field. When they struck the Valthene ships, matter and antimatter met. The resulting explosions were so bright that the view screen had to dim automatically to protect the crew's eyes. 3 more. Valthene cruisers vanished in flashes of white light. Throktile's mocking expression was gone. His face showed fear now. Retreat. All ships retreat. Jump too late, Juan said quietly. Yunji had been working while the Retribution fired its weapons. Her fingers moved across her console, sending invisible commands through space. Earth's electronic warfare systems were generations ahead of what the aliens had. She had locked onto every Valthene ship's jump drive and sent corrupted, dated through their navigation computers. When the remaining 7 cruisers tried to jump away, their systems failed. They were trapped in normal space with a predator they could not fight. The Retribution moved forward. Its point defense lasers created a web of light around the ship. Every shot the Valthene fired was destroyed before it could connect. Minho targeted each enemy cruiser methodically. More railgun rounds. More missiles. One by one, the raider ships broke apart. The last cruiser, Throktile's vessel, tried to hide behind one of the planet's moons. It didn't work. The Retribution's sensors could track a ship across star systems. Hiding behind a moon was useless. The final railgun volley turned Throktile's cruiser into expanding fragments of metal and plasma. The battle was over. 12 Valthene cruisers had become clouds of wreckage. The Retribution had not received a single serious hit. Not one system was damaged beyond the shield's minor energy drain, which was already recharging. Captain Jiwan sat back down in her chair. Salman, send repair drones to the colony. Help them put out the fires and stabilize their shelters. Yunji, record everything that happened here. Every sensor reading. Every weapon discharge. Send it all back to Earth's command.
Yes, Captain.
Both officers replied. Minho turned from his station. Captain, we just destroyed 12 ships. The galaxy is going to hear about this. Earth wanted to stay hidden. That's not possible anymore, Guan nodded. But we couldn't let our people die while we hid in shadows. Earth Command knew this might happen. They gave us this mission knowing what it would mean. Below them, the colonists were emerging from their shelters. They looked up at the sky where the battle had taken place. They saw the wreckage of their attackers floating in orbit. They saw the dark shape of the Retribution, still and watchful, protecting them. News traveled fast in the galaxy. Within hours, reports of the battle reached the Council Station. Within a day, every species knew what had happened. Earth, the weak and ignored species, had built a warship more powerful than anything currently in service. And they had used it without hesitation to protect their people. Ambassador, Wyan Wu received emergency messages from a dozen different species. Some demanded explanations. Some expressed shock. Some were angry that Earth had hidden such a powerful weapon. And some, the smaller and weaker species, sent messages of quiet support. The long peace had lasted only a few weeks before Earth shattered it with overwhelming force. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The question now was what would happen next. Would the Council accept Earth's actions? Would the Valthene Empire seek revenge? Would war return to a galaxy that had just chosen peace? On the bridge of the Retribution, Captain Jawan watched the stars and waited for orders. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the most crowded in 50 years. Every species sent representatives. The massive chamber buzzed with angry voices speaking in dozens of languages. Translator devices struggled to keep up with all the conversations happening at once. Ambassador Hyan Wu stood at the human platform waiting. He knew what was coming. The galaxy had learned about the Retribution and what it had done at Kepler-4 for 2b. Now they wanted answers. Some wanted blood. The Valthene ambassador stood first. His name was Corvin, and his voice shook with rage when he spoke. The humans have committed an act of war. They destroyed 12 Valthene ships without provocation. This cannot stand. We demand that Earth surrender this warship immediately. We demand that the crew be brought before this council to face trial. And we demand compensation for the vessels destroyed. Other ambassadors murmured in agreement. The Korath representative clicked its mandibles. The peace accord was signed only weeks ago. Already it is broken. Earth has revealed a weapon of terrible power. A weapon they built in secret while the rest of us pursued peace. How can we trust them? The Drin ambassador raised one of his forearms. Earth's actions are concerning. They responded with extreme force. The destruction was total. Is this how they plan to solve all disputes? With overwhelming violence? Hyan Wu listened to them all. He waited until the chamber grew quiet, waiting for his response. When he finally spoke, his voice carried clearly through the translation systems. You demand answers? Very well. Let me show you something first. Activated the display above his platform. A holographic image appeared for everyone to see. It showed the colony at Kepler-4 to be before the attack. Humans working in fields. Children playing near the settlement buildings. Families living peaceful lives. Then the image changed. It showed the Valthene raiders arriving. Plasma fire raining down on the colony. Buildings exploding. People running and screaming. The raiders laughing as they stole everything of value. These were not soldiers, Hyan Wu said. These were farmers, teachers, scientists, children. And when they sent a distress call to this council, begging for help, what did you do? The chamber was silent now. It's nothing. Hyan Wu continued. You did nothing. The Valthene ambassador called it a border dispute. The Korath representative said it was not the council's concern. The Drin suggested we handle it ourselves through diplomatic channels. You abandoned 3,000 human colonists to their fate. He changed the display again. Now it showed the battle. The Retribution arriving. The Valthene commander mocking Earth. The raiders firing first. And then the response? You say we attacked without provocation? The raiders fired first. You say we used extreme force? They were killing our people. You say we built this ship in secret? We built it because we learned that in this galaxy, the weak are ignored and the helpless are left to die. Hyan Wu pointed at the Valthene ambassador. Your ships attacked our colony. Your people murdered our citizens. And when we defended ourselves, you have the audacity to call us the aggressors. Earth will not apologize for protecting its own. Smaller species in the chamber began to speak up. The representative from the Tilvan cluster stood. Earth is right. For too long, this council has only protected the powerful. When my species asked for help against raiders, we were told to be patient. When the Sorath system was attacked, the council said it was too far away to matter. But when Earth fights back, suddenly the council cares. Other voices joined in. Species that had been ignored, exploited, or dismissed were speaking up now. They saw in Earth's actions something they had wished for themselves. the courage to fight back. The Korath representative tried to regain control. This is not about protection. This is about a dangerous weapon that threatens the balance of power. The Retribution is more advanced than our current warships. If Earth has such technology, what else are they hiding? Everything, Hanwoo said simply. We learn from all of you. Every species here has fought wars. You all developed weapons. You all built terrible things. Then you had your peace accord and felt safe. But Earth never felt safe. We knew we were on our own. So yes, we studied your technology. We took the best parts of everything we found. We improved it. We combined it in ways you never thought possible. And we built the Retribution to make sure that no one could do to us what was done at Kepler 4 for to be. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Jawan received new orders. The Retribution was to remain near Earth's colonies serving as a guard. Intelligence Officer Yoonji had been monitoring communications across multiple channels. What she found was troubling. Captain, I'm detecting increased Valthene fleet movements along our borders, Yoonji reported. These aren't raiders. These are official military vessels. They're positioning themselves near our territory. Minho studied the tactical data. The Valthene Empire is preparing a response. The council session must not be going well. Giwan considered their situation. The Retribution was powerful, but it was still just one ship. If the Valthene sent their full military force, even Earth's advanced warship might not be enough. She opened a channel to Earth Command. This is the Retribution. We're detecting Valthene military buildup. Request status of fleet construction. Are there other ships ready? The response came after a delay. Negative Retribution. You are our only operational warship. 2 more are under construction, but won't be ready for 6 months. You'll have to hold the line alone. Back at the council station, Hyenwoo noticed a private signal on his communication device. The Drin ambassador wanted to speak with him privately. After the session adjourned without reaching any conclusion, Hyunwoo met the Drin representative in a quiet observation room overlooking space. Ambassador Hyunwoo, I will be direct, the Drin said. My government sees what is happening. The Valthene are preparing for war. They cannot allow Earth to challenge their power. And the Council is too divided to stop them. Then why are we talking? Hyenwoo asked. Because the Drin Federation has always been cautious of the Valthene Empire. They are aggressive and proud. They have only followed the peace accord because they had no choice. But now they see an opportunity. They will attack Earth to prove they are still the dominant military power. The Drin paused. Unless Earth has allies. You're offering an alliance? Yes. The Drin Federation will stand with Earth. Our ships will protect your colonies. In return, we want access to your technology. Not the weapons, but the shield systems. The electronic warfare capabilities. Things that could help us defend our own people. Hyenwoo knew this was a critical decision. Accept the alliance, and Earth becomes entangled in galactic politics. Refuse, and Earth stands alone against a powerful enemy. He thought about the Retribution. 1 ship. 1 crew. 1 chance. I need to consult with my government, Hyenwoo said carefully. Of course. But decide quickly. The Valthene battle fleet is already moving. They will reach your space within days. After the Drin ambassador left, Hyenwoo looked out at the stars. Earth had revealed its strength to the galaxy. But strength alone might not be enough. Wars were won with weapons. But they were also won with alliances, with strategy. With choosing the right moment to stand firm and the right moment to find common ground, he sent an encrypted message to Earth. The government would have to decide. But Hyenwoo knew what his recommendation would be. Humanity had survived by being smart, by adapting, by learning from others. Now they would have to learn the hardest lesson of all, how to navigate a galaxy. Where power and politics were inseparable, the long peace was over. What came next would define Earth's place among the stars forever. Admiral Vexther commanded the Valthene battle fleet from his flagship, the mighty warship Crimson Thunder. He was old by Valthene standards, with scales that had darkened with age and scars from 3 previous wars. The Council had called him out of retirement for this mission. They wanted someone who remembered how to fight real battles. 40 warships followed his command. Cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels spread out in formation as they moved toward human territory. The Valthene government had made their position clear. Earth's attack on their ships, even raiders, could not go unanswered. They called this a peacekeeping operation, but everyone knew the truth. This was a show of force meant to put humanity back in its place. How long until we reached the human colonies? Vexler asked his navigation officer. 2 days if we maintain current speed. We will enter what the humans call the Brocken Corridor tomorrow. Vexler knew about the Brocken Corridor. It was a region of dense asteroid fields and strange gravitational anomalies between Valthene space and Earth's colonies. Most ships avoided it because navigation was difficult. But it was the fastest route, and Vexler wanted to arrive quickly. He expected to find the human warship waiting, probably hiding behind one of their colonies. 1 ship against 40. The battle would be over in minutes. What Vexler didn't know was that Captain Jiwan had no intention of fighting in open space. She had positioned the Retribution at the entrance to the Brocken Corridor 3 days ago. And she had been very busy. Status report. Guan ordered from her command chair. Salman looked up from the engineering station. All proximity mines are in position. We've placed 300 devices disguised as ordinary asteroids throughout the corridor. They're running passive, so enemy sensors won't detect them until it's too late. False sensor echoes are broadcasting from 20 different locations. The Valthene will see ghost ships that don't exist. Navigation beacons have been reprogrammed to feed incorrect positional data. Any ship relying on automatic navigation will drift off course into the densest parts of the asteroid field. Yunji smiled at her console. I've mapped every Valthene communication frequency. The moment they enter the corridor, I can jam their command channels. Their ships won't be able to coordinate with each other. Q1 nodded slowly. The Retribution couldn't fight 40 ships in direct combat. But here, in this treacherous region of space, the playing field was different. Here, the environment itself was a weapon. Remember, Jiwan told her crew, we don't need to destroy them all. We just need to make them understand that attacking Earth is too costly. If we break their formation and hurt them badly enough, they'll reconsider. The Valthene fleet entered the Brocken Corridor the next morning. Vexler stood on his bridge, watching the view screen as the asteroid field grew thick around them. He had fought in regions like this before. It required careful navigation, but his crew was experienced. Sensors show multiple contacts ahead, one of his officers reported. I'm reading at least 15 vessels scattered throughout the corridor. The human ship must have called for reinforcements. Vexler frowned. Intelligence reports said Earth only had 1 warship. Where did these others come from? Tactical analysis. What type of ships are we detecting? The readings are unclear. The asteroids are interfering with our sensors. But the signatures match Earth technology. Maintain formation. Proceed with caution. If the humans want to make a stand here, we'll destroy every ship they brought. What Vexler didn't realize was that he was looking at ghosts. Minho's false sensor echoes were designed to mimic the Retribution's signature. The Valthene were seeing 15 ships where only 1 existed. The first mine detonated when a Valthene destroyer passed too close to a disguised asteroid. The explosion tore through the ship's hull, breaking it in half. Debris scattered across space. Before Vexler could react, 3 more mines exploded in different parts of his formation. We're under attack. All ships, combat alert. Vexler shouted. Where are they firing from? His sensor officer struggled to answer. I don't know. The explosions seemed to be coming from the asteroids themselves. Youngi activated her electronic warfare systems. Suddenly, the Valthene command channels filled with static and corrupted data. Ships couldn't hear their admiral's orders. They couldn't coordinate with each other. Each vessel was isolated, trying to fight an enemy they couldn't see. The Retribution emerged from behind a large asteroid, moving fast. Minho had already locked onto 3 targets. The railgun batteries fired, sending solid projectiles at impossible speeds. The rounds struck two Valthene cruisers, punching clean through their hulls. One cruiser exploded. The other began venting atmosphere and spinning out of control. Before the Valthene could respond, the Retribution vanished back into the asteroid field. Salmon was navigating through the dense rocks with precision that seemed impossible. But she had mapped every asteroid, every gravity well, every safe path through the corridor. This was her territory now. Vexler tried to organize his fleet, but everything was falling apart. His ships were reporting explosions from hidden mines. Ghost contacts appeared and disappeared on sensors. Communication was barely functioning, and that human warship kept appearing, striking, and vanishing before anyone could return fire. "This isn't a battle," his tactical officer said quietly. "They've turned this corridor into a trap. They're hunting us." Minho's tactics were ruthless and efficient. The Retribution would appear. Fire its railguns at precise angles so the projectiles would ricochet off dense metallic asteroids, hitting multiple targets with a single shot. Missiles launched and weaved through the rocks, their AI systems calculating perfect trajectories. Point defense lasers shot down any return fire before it could connect. 6 hours into the battle, Vexler had lost 19 ships. 19. And he hadn't managed to damage the human vessel even once. His fleet was scattered throughout the corridor, ships trying desperately to regroup but unable to navigate the treacherous space. "Admiral, we should withdraw," his second-in-command man suggested. "We cannot win this fight. Not here. Not like this." Vexler's pride burned. He was a war hero. He had defeated enemies across the galaxy. Now he was being beaten by a single ship and a crew that fought with tactics he had never encountered. But his second-in-command was right. They were losing. "No," Vexler said through clenched teeth. "We did not come all this way to retreat. If we cannot defeat their ship, we will bypass it. Navigation, plot a course around the corridor, directly to the human colony of New Sol. We will strike at their civilians. If Earth wants to protect their colonies, let's see how fast their ship can move." On the Retribution, Yunji intercepted the communication. "Captain, the Valthene are changing course. They're going to bypass us and attack New Sol directly." Juan felt ice in her chest. New Sol was home to 40,000 colonists. It had minimal defenses. If the Valthene fleet reached it, thousands would die. "How long until they reach the colony?" she asked. "At their current speed, 90 minutes, Minho calculated. "How long for us to navigate out of the corridor and intercept them?" 2 hours at safe speed. It would arrive too late. Jiwan stared at the tactical display, her mind racing. There was one option. One chance. But the risk was enormous. "Salmon, what are the odds of making an emergency jump inside a gravity well?" The chief engineer's face went pale. "Captain, no one does that. The gravitational forces could tear us apart. The jump drive was only tested in open space. The math says there's a 40% chance of catastrophic failure. And if we don't try, there's a 100% chance that 40,000 people die," Giwan said. "Prepare for emergency jump. Plot coordinates to put us directly between the Valthene fleet and New Sol." Her crew hesitated. They all knew the danger. An emergency jump near asteroids and gravity wells could destroy the ship instantly. But they also knew their duty. "Yes," Captain Salmon said quietly. The Retribution's jump drive began charging. Warning alarms blared throughout the ship. This was unprecedented. This was insane. This was humanity refusing to let its people die. "Jump in 10 seconds, Salmon reported, her voice steady despite her fear. The ship vanished in a flash of blue and white light mixed with something that looked like tearing. Reality. For a moment, the Retribution existed in multiple places at once. Systems screamed in protest. Hull plates groaned under impossible stress. Then the ship reappeared in normal space. Directly between the Valthene fleet and New Sol. The colony was saved. But the Retribution was damaged. Sparks flew from consoles. Alarms rang everywhere. "Jump drive is offline," Salmon reported. "Multiple systems are damaged. We're not going anywhere." Guan looked at her view screen. 15 Valthene ships were moving toward them. The Retribution was trapped, wounded, and alone. This was the final stand. The Retribution hung in space between the Valthene fleet and New Sol like a wounded guardian. Smoke vented from several hull breaches. The emergency jump had saved 40,000 lives but had crippled the ship. Now, 15 enemy warships were closing in for the kill. Captain. Juwan stood on her bridge, surrounded by damage reports and blaring alarms. Salman was working frantically to repair the jump drive, but even her incredible skills needed time. Time they didn't have. Weapons status. Juwan asked calmly. Mincho checked his systems. Railgun batteries still functional. We have ammunition for maybe 20 more minutes of sustained fire. Missile pods are at 40% capacity. Point defense systems are operational, but power levels are dropping. Yonji looked up from her communications station. Captain, the Valthene are broadcasting on all channels. Admiral Vexter wants to speak with you. Put him through. The view screen showed the Valthene admiral. His scales were darker than before, his eyes hard with anger and something else. Respect, perhaps. Or maybe just hatred. Captain Juwan, Vexter said slowly, you have proven to be a more capable opponent than I anticipated. Your tactics in the corridor were clever. But this ends now. You are damaged. Your ship cannot jump. You cannot run. Surrender, and I will allow your crew to live as prisoners. Guan's voice was ice. You came here to prove Earth is weak? Instead, you have proven the Valthene Empire is dishonorable. You couldn't defeat one ship, so you decided to murder civilians. You will not touch this colony. If you want this vessel, come and take it. But I promise you, Admiral, we will drag every last one of your ships down with us. She cut the transmission before Vexer could respond. Then she opened the ship-wide channel to address her crew. All hands, this is the captain. We are damaged, but not defeated. The Valthene are coming for us, and we cannot run. So we will do what humanity has always done when faced with impossible odds. We will stand. We will fight. And we will show this galaxy that Earth does not surrender. Not today, not ever. Man your stations. Prepare for combat. Throughout the ship, the crew responded. Engineers rushed to reinforce critical systems. Weapon crews loaded the last of their ammunition. Medical teams prepared for casualties. Everyone knew this might be their last battle. But no one suggested giving up. On the bridge, Salman called out from her station. Captain, I might be able to get the jump drive working again, but I need 45 minutes minimum. Can we hold them that long? We'll hold, Juan said. She didn't know if it was true, but her crew needed to believe it. The Valthene ships moved closer, weapons charging. Admiral Vexter prepared to give the order to fire. This human captain had embarrassed him, cost him 19 ships, and refused to surrender. He would make sure her ship was destroyed completely. Then something unexpected happened. A tier in space opened to the left of the battlefield. Ships began emerging from jump space. Not one ship, not two. 12 vessels appeared, their hulls bearing the markings of the Drin Federation ambassador. Hyun Woo had convinced Earth's government to accept the alliance. The Drin had come to honor their agreement. The lead Drin ship broadcast on all channels. This is Commander Talvin of the Drin Federation. We are here under treaty obligations to defend Earth territories. Admiral Vexter, you are ordered to withdraw immediately. Vexter stared at his view screen in disbelief. The Drin. Earth had found allies. His tactical situation had just changed dramatically. 15 damaged Valthene ships against 12 fresh Drin warships, and whatever the Retribution could still do. The odds were no longer in his favor. But before he could respond, more ships arrived. 3 vessels from the Tilvan cluster, 2 from the Sorith system, even a ship from the small Corva Dominion. All the species that had been ignored by the Council. All the ones who had watched Earth stand up for itself and decided to stand with them. The communications channels filled with declarations of support. The smaller species were forming their own alliance, with Earth at its center. They had seen what the Retribution did to protect its people. They wanted that same strength and determination on their side. On the council station, the emergency session had reconvened. The Korath representative stood, its insect-like face impossible to read, but its tone was clear. The galaxy has changed. We can either adapt or be left behind. I move that Earth be granted immediate status as a major power within this council, with full voting rights and all protections under galactic law. The vote was called. Species after species voted in favor. Even some of the larger powers who had opposed Earth now saw the reality. Humanity had allies. They had advanced technology. They had proven their military capability. Refusing to acknowledge them would only push Earth. Further outside the Council's influence, only the Valthene abstained from voting. The motion passed. Ambassador Hyanwu stood at his platform watching history unfold. Earth had gone from being ignored to being a major galactic power in a matter of weeks. But he felt no triumph, only the weight of responsibility. Power brought new challenges, new dangers, new decisions that would affect billions of lives. Back at the battlefield, Admiral Vexler faced an impossible choice. Attack and be destroyed. Withdraw and admit defeat. He looked at his remaining ships, at his exhausted crew, at the tactical display showing overwhelming opposition. All ships, he said quietly. Stand down. We are withdrawing. The Valthene fleet turned and began moving away from human space. They made no threatening moves. They fired no final shots. They simply left, carrying with them the knowledge that the galaxy had fundamentally changed. On the bridge of the Retribution, the crew watched them go. No one cheered. No one celebrated. They had won, but the cost had been high. The ship was badly damaged. Several crew members were injured. And they all knew this was just the beginning of something larger. G1 sat in her command chair, exhausted. Salman, how long to repair the jump drive now that we're not under fire? 2 days, Captain. Maybe 3. Good. We're going home. The Drin ships remained nearby, offering assistance and supplies. The smaller species sent messages of gratitude and friendship. Earth's allies were proving themselves reliable. Weeks later, the Retribution limped back into Earth's solar system. 2 new warships were under construction in orbital shipyards. Their designs improved based on lessons learned from the recent battles. Earth's military was growing, but carefully. Humanity had learned that power must be used responsibly. Captain Giwan and her crew received a hero's welcome. But Giwan refused any special recognition. We did what any crew would do, she told the crowds. We protected our people. That's all. Ambassador Hyanwu returned from the council station with new challenges and opportunities. Earth now had a voice in galactic politics. They had allies to coordinate with. They had responsibilities to smaller species who looked to them for leadership. The quiet isolation of being ignored was over. In a private meeting, Giwan and Hyanwu discussed the future. The galaxy will never underestimate us again, Hyanwu said. No, Giwan agreed. But now comes the harder part. We've shown we can fight. Now we have to show we can lead. We have to prove that Earth's strength will be used to protect, not to conquer. That's more difficult than winning battles. Hyanwu nodded. The Valthene are wounded but not destroyed. They'll rebuild. Other powers will watch us carefully, looking for weaknesses. And our allies will expect us to help them the way we helped ourselves. Can we do it? Giwan asked. Can humanity navigate this new reality? We survived being ignored. We survived being attacked. We'll survive being important too. But it won't be easy. The long peace had ended, but it had been replaced with something different. Not war, but not the comfortable peace the galaxy had enjoyed before. A new era of shifting alliances, careful diplomacy, and the constant knowledge that power could be challenged at any moment. Earth had earned its place among the stars. The Retribution had proven that humanity would not be victims, but the galaxy was vast and ancient, filled with species who had their own interests and ambitions. Somewhere in the depths of space, other powers were watching Earth's rise with interest. Some saw opportunity for alliance. Others saw a threat that needed to be eliminated. And a few saw something else entirely, something that would test humanity in ways they couldn't yet imagine. The galaxy had let down its guard during the long peace, then Earth's deadliest warship arrived and changed everything. But this was not an ending. It was a beginning. The story of humanity among the stars was just starting, and no one, not even humans themselves, knew where it would lead. Captain Juwan stood on the observation deck of the newly repaired Retribution, looking out at Earth below. Her crew was ready. Her ship was ready. Whatever came next, humanity would face it the same way they had faced everything else. With courage, intelligence, and the unwavering determination to protect their own, the future was uncertain. But it was theirs to shape.